Evan Addington, Director of Pickleball at Crush Yard Orlando. We appreciate you joining us, and thanks for talking about pickleball with us here on this National Pickleball Day.
Yeah, thanks for highlighting it. Appreciate it.
All right, good stuff. Well, that is going to do it for us here on Fox 35 News Plus. We are out of time this morning. We appreciate you joining us. Hope you have a great weekend. Maybe go out and play some pickleball. That would certainly be the appropriate thing to do on a day like today. And if you're getting ready for the start of school next week as well, good luck to you, whether you're a student, whether you're a teacher, an employee, whatever the case may be. Thanks for joining us here on Fox 35 News Plus. We'll be back at 2 o'clock or sooner if news breaks, so keep it here on Fox Local.
Florida Live starts now.
Well, good afternoon to you and welcome into Florida Live. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Friday afternoon live on Fox Local and on YouTube. I want to let you know what we have coming up in the show today on this National Pickleball Day. It is a sport that is growing in popularity across the region, across the state, across the country. We're going to talk all about that coming up a little bit later in the show. The search for a missing teenager enters its 8th day after a loved one say he sent a final text over a week ago that said, "Help me." A lot of questions about the search for that teen. We will have an update on that coming up in our Tampa connection, and we also have an update coming up out of Brevard County in connection with that same case. So more to come on that coming up in just a little bit. But we begin our show this afternoon with growing controversy surrounding a new state law. We're talking about SB 180 and now another organization wanting the state legislature to repeal that new law, which just recently went into effect. Joining us live now via Zoom to talk about this is Mitch Perry, a senior reporter with the Florida Phoenix. And Mitch, we appreciate you joining us this afternoon here on Florida Live.
Yeah, great to be here with you. Thank you.
Mitch, you just published a story a little bit ago about this law and looking at kind of the opposition to it, some of the impacts of it. First of all, just talk to us a little bit about SB 180 and what it was kind of intended to do.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a bill that came out of the storms from last year. Nick DeSegli, the bill sponsor from Pinellas County, which was devastated by Hurricane Helene last fall. And so he saw, living in one of the beach communities there, in his opinion, a lot of the local governments there were just not ready to handle the situation in terms of permitting, helping people start to, get back to recovery with their homes, et cetera. People were not there because some of these local governments, small beach communities, for example, in Pinellas, they don't even necessarily are there apparently 8 to 5 every day. That's what Nick said anyway. He heard from a lot of his constituents about it. So that was the way the bill was designed to, streamline permitting, making sure that people could get repairs done without, expending too much money. That was the intent. And what happened, though, the controversy is not over the entire bill. It's over this one provision, basically, which allows it's regarding land use. And it basically says any county that was affected by the storm, and essentially it's talking about every county in the state, they're like the redevelopment plans, there's certain plans, land use things can be challenged. And if it's considered, quote unquote, burdensome, restrictive or burdensome, then again, there can be a lawsuit filed against that, against the local government. And local governments throughout the state are really objecting to this. They weren't really aware that this is going to be part of the law. They weren't, their lobbyists weren't really telling about that. And it was kind of, apparently, according to Nick DeSegli, at one point it was taken out of the bill, and then some people said, had to go back in. So it's creating a lot of havoc. And as you mentioned, 1,000 Friends of Florida came out yesterday and said they want that specific provision to be removed when the legislature reconvenes next year.
And that specific language you're talking about, the restrictive or burdensome land use or development regulations, that applies even if it's unrelated to storm recovery. So we're seeing pretty far-reaching impacts of this.
Yeah, in fact, I put this in the story out there in your area in Orange County. Yeah. This is not even an individual, person who challenged the local government. It was actually the state of Florida, the Department of Commerce, who notified Orange County that its new Vision 2050 comprehensive plan, which was taking years and a lot of money involved with that, was null and void, essentially, because it was providing a new comprehensive plan, and it was in violation of the new law. And I read the letter that the Department of Commerce person said, and he didn't really specify like what was the particular problem, just basically said that, you can't really do this. You're one of the counties that's affected by it. I know Orange County is going to go back with them and hopefully they can, fix this and work it out, right? Because again, there was a lot of work done on that. But yeah, because basically it says it goes back to when the storms happened in October of last year, and then it goes forward for several years. Now, again, Senator DeSegli, I've heard him say basically that he's seen other communities maybe take advantage of the situation after a storm and raise permit, make it much more harder for developers to do certain projects that maybe they would be able to do easier. And this is, they use the reason of like, we're coming out of the post-storm issue. And so he was thinking like, I don't want them to be able to do that. We should allow natural, developers to continue to do their thing. But it's so restrictive. The language in the law, I think, is what's really a problem for these local governments. And they're concerned that they can't really do much going forward. And, Garrett, a lot of these local governments, that's a lot what they do basically is land use. And so you're almost like, in a way, taking it out of their own hands. And that's why they have a big problem with this.
So how are they adapting right now, Mitch? I know you kind of looked at several different localities.
Yeah, well, in some ways, what they're doing, they can't really do much. And we've seen this with other laws, like the Live Local Act, if you might recall from a couple of years ago, that has since in Tallahassee, the last 2 years, has gone back and amended parts of that. That's what it's going to happen, probably, I would think, next year. But again, the legislature does not get together until January. They have committee meetings in the fall. In terms of what these local governments are doing, they're thinking about suing. I talked to one Deltona city commissioner yesterday. The city commission has not acted on this. They may or may not do it, but they're going to talk about this at one of their next meetings. There's an attorney in Fort Lauderdale who is working with local governments and trying to collect, as many who want to be involved with this, so that there will be probably a lawsuit filed maybe in September about this. That's really all they can do right now, essentially. Is
there any indication that the state legislature might take a closer look at this or look at it kind of making some changes?
I think so. I mean, I think that what Senator DeSegli, and I didn't put this in the story, actually, he has already talked about the fact that in the law itself, it talks about an OPAGA study. OPAGA is like a policy group that kind of reviews legislation, makes recommendations. They are going to look at this. So when I've heard him speak to the St. Pete City Council a month ago, and he was already aware a month ago that there were concerns from local governments about this. It's only gotten much louder since then. So I think that he himself is very aware. So, we've seen this in Tallahassee when there's so much confusion, so much concern about how it's going to hurt local government that the legislature will go try to amend it in some way. I will also say, though, that there's a lot of resentment among some local legislators about this because they say this is another kind of a preemption law, right? Where Tallahassee takes the power away from local governments from what they should know best to do when it comes to managing the growth of their own local community. They say that's essentially been taken out of their hands by the state law.
And that's certainly a criticism we heard from some county commissioners in Orange County earlier this week in talking about this very thing. So Mitch Perry, senior reporter with the Florida Phoenix, we appreciate you joining us this afternoon here on Florida Live to share your reporting.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with more after this. Awesome. Welcome back into Florida Live on this Friday afternoon. Thanks for joining us here live on Fox Local and on YouTube. It's time now for our Tampa Connection, and for that we go to Fox 13 digital content producer Nancy Gay. And Nancy, good afternoon.
Friday. Today we're going to start down in Manatee County, where the search for a missing teenager is entering its 8th day. Giovanni Pelletier, he is from North Carolina, and he was on vacation in Englewood with his family when he vanished. Now, last Friday, we're told that he got into a white Chevy Malibu with his cousin from his biological father's side of the family, along with two of his cousin's friends around 1:30 in the morning. Now, even though one of those men was his cousin, we're told that the two had never met in person before, but they had spoken to each other over the phone. They were headed to the east coast of Florida to visit some other relatives, but we're told that about 25 minutes into the trip, Giovanni sent his mother a text message that said, "Help me." His mother said that he also messaged other family members with similar pleas, and that was the last time that anybody has ever heard from him. Now, Giovanni's cousin and his friends told deputies that Giovanni started acting erratically and got out of the car near I-75 and State Road 70 in Manatee County. His backpack and phone were found on the side of the road about half a mile to a mile away later in the day. Now, that white Chevy Malibu was seized by the Brevard County Sheriff's Office. However, it's unclear whether that was done voluntarily or under a warrant. Now, earlier today, Brevard County Sheriff Wayne Ivey held a press conference, and he said he does not believe that Giovanni ever made it to Brevard County. The nonprofit We Are the Essentials is working with Giovanni's family on search efforts. They are asking anyone who was driving on I-75 in the early morning hours of Friday, August 1st, to check their dash cam footage for the white Malibu or someone walking along the interstate. Giovanni's mom says the story doesn't make any sense and that her son wouldn't just walk away unless he was in danger. Now, anyone with any information on this case is asked to contact the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office or your local law enforcement agency. Garrett?
It's certainly concerning and a lot of questions, obviously, and you certainly understand the fear and the concern from his loved ones, given that text message, given the fact that it's been more than a week now, given that those items were found. Really just a strange situation, but I'm sure it's been hard on the family.
Yeah, it's been very hard on the family. We are following this story today, and one of our reporters did speak with his family members earlier today. We spoke with his mother yesterday, and she's the one who said that she received that text message from her son saying, "Help me," and that was the last communication she's had from him. She did mention that other family members received similar text messages, and that it was very strange that he would send those text messages and then simply vanish. So the story is, there's a lot of questions in this story, and obviously the biggest question is, where is he? Now, his cousin and his cousin's friends, they did say that he started acting erratically, and he did get out of the car on I-75 near State Road 70 in Manatee County. Again, his backpack and phone were found in that area along the side of the road. So this story, there's a lot of questions here, and obviously his family, they just want to find him and bring him home, and that's why they are asking anybody who was driving on I-75 early in the morning last Friday to please check those dash cam videos that you may have to see if you saw that white Chevy Malibu or Giovanni walking along the side of the road.
Yeah, and we know some of his family members in Brevard County were holding some searches earlier this week in the Mims area. That's the northern part of the county. They've been looking for him. You mentioned that press conference from Brevard County Sheriff Wayne Ivey giving an update. We'll have more on that coming up in just a little bit, but certainly still a lot of questions about what happened. Story number 2 here, Nancy, and some big changes coming to the Strawberry Festival.
Yes, that's right. So the Strawberry Festival is considered the gold standard of swine shows here in Hillsborough County, but students who live on the western side of I-75 will not be allowed to participate anymore. Now, we did speak with the top Strawberry Festival organizer, and he said that it's simply a matter of space. They've been considering this change for 10 years now, and with a larger number of students applying for raffle spots and a barn that stays the same size, they say that it's not possible to open the pig pen up to everyone anymore. Organizers said that the festival is overflowing with livestock, and the rules are changing so that they can kind of get a hold of it. Last year, 189 applied to be in the raffle that could only accept 80. Now, even more were expected for this year's raffle if nothing changed. We did speak to one student who attends Sickles High School, and he sold his 233-pound pig last year for $10 a pound. Now, because this show is purely for helping students, they often get paid 10 times the amount of what a commercial buyer would pay for a pig. The festival organizers do point out that there are other festivals in the county that have swine shows, including the Hillsborough County Fair and the Florida State Fair. However, that student who we mentioned from Sickles High School will not be allowed to participate this year because he lives west of I-75. Now, obviously, the students here, they are upset, but the festival organizers say that this decision is made simply because they don't have the capacity. There's so many students who want to participate in the swine show, and they simply do not have the capacity to do so. Garrett?
I mean, it's a good thing that there's a lot of interest for it, but yeah, I mean, capacity restrictions, I guess you can't really argue with that. Still a disappointment, I'm sure, for many of those participants. Story number 3, and this is an interesting story out of Polk County, Nancy.
Yes, that's right. Always an interesting story out of Polk County, and this time Polk County deputies, they're searching for a woman who brought a young child to shoplift with her at Publix. This happened last month at Publix near Davenport. Deputies say the woman who you see there, she's wearing a yellow dress, put a young girl into the shopping cart and then stole about $125 worth of items from Publix. They say another woman confronted her about the theft, and during that confrontation, the suspect hit the woman twice and then punched her. Now, deputies want anyone who may recognize the woman in the yellow dress or the other people she is with to call the Polk County Sheriff's Office. The Sheriff's Office did say that the other people in the video may be witnesses or they may be suspects, and they're asking those people, if they are simply witnesses, to contact the Polk County Sheriff's Office. Again, if you know who the suspect is or where she might be, please call the Polk County Sheriff's Office. Garrett?
quite a situation there. Fox 13 digital content producer Nancy Gay, we appreciate you joining us for our Tampa connection this afternoon here on Florida Live.
Thank you.
All right, have a good weekend. We're going to take a quick break here on Florida Live, and we'll be right back with more in just a couple of minutes here live on Fox Local and on YouTube. Welcome back into Florida Live. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Friday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. The Brevard County Sheriff Wayne Ivey says social media rumors have run wild in the case of this search for this 18-year-old. We were just talking about it with Nancy, 18-year-old Giovanni Pelletier, who was on vacation with his family in Charlotte County, left early last Friday morning to visit other family in Brevard County. There was a search done by his family earlier this week in the northern part of the county, but the Brevard County Sheriff says he's been getting some questions about their role in this investigation. He says there's no indication and no evidence that this 18-year-old ever arrived in Brevard County. You heard about some of the other evidence that was found in Manatee County. The Brevard County Sheriff held a news conference just a little bit ago talking about this, saying that they've conducted a number of interviews in this case. They've also offered resources to help, but there are still a lot of questions about what happened as the search for this 18-year-old continues.
Okay, good morning, everybody. I want to just get with each of you. We've had a lot of questions about our agency's involvement in Giovanni Pelletier, the missing person out of Charlotte County. First thing I want to clarify is we are not the lead agency on this investigation. Charlotte County is the lead agency on this investigation. There are some parts of it that dip into Manatee County, but the only connection to Brevard County is that the three young men that went over to Sarasota County are from Brevard County. There's no indication whatsoever, no evidence, no indication in any capacity that Giovanni Pelletier ever came to Brevard County. In fact, just the opposite. Things at this time demonstrate that he was not here. So our agency has been involved. We were reached out for by the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office, asked to go interview the three young men that were over in their county that had picked Giovanni up. We sent, when they first called, it was August 1st, and our deputies went out, talked to one of the individuals, conveyed back to Charlotte County what information they had developed. The following day, information started to spread on social media, misinformation, I should say. A lot of it was spread on social media, and Charlotte County asked us to go out and check on a car that had, according to what was being said on social media, had been part of this. The car was at a salvage yard. Our team went out, and the car was not part of this. It had completely no connection to this. In fact, everything that we could tell from looking at the vehicle, it hadn't moved in a substantial amount of time. The brake pads were all rusted. Everything, the car had not moved. So, but as part of our assistance with them, as part of us offering any resources to them we could, we actually sent agents to go interview the 3 young men. We've not only interviewed them, we've interviewed other members of the family. We've also recovered the actual vehicle that was that the boys were driving, and that vehicle, the family gave it to us, said, take it, do whatever you need to do with it. We did. We took it. We had our crime scene team go through it and reported back to Charlotte County that there was no evidence of any type of wrongdoing that was part of it. So, you know, as you guys have probably seen in some of the stuff going on, some of the news reports, some of his items, a backpack, a school bag, and a telephone were found on the interstate over in Manatee County, I believe it was. But there's nothing to indicate he ever came to Brevard County. In fact, just the opposite from the witness statements that we've had and any evidence that Charlotte County's been able to collect. So we continue to offer our assistance to them. We will, as always, be great partners. Some people have asked, why aren't you guys out searching for him? There is no place to search. There's nothing that would say, go look in this specific area. The only reason that some people were looking on the road they were looking on and had organized a search party is because of the misinformation about the car at the salvage yard being on that. That was all erroneous. None of it was factual. And so there's no place that would clue us in and say, put a search party here. Clearly, knowing us as everybody does, if we had even the slightest of information that said he was at this location or that, we would be out there organizing everything and putting together. So our resources continue to be available to them. Our resources continue to help in any way we can. But the investigation is Charlotte County's, and we stand by to assist them. So I'll answer any questions you guys might have.
I don't know if you can answer this, Sheriff, but I'll ask it anyway. It's been a week since this young man disappeared. Have there been any sightings? Has there been, you know, any substantial leads that you're aware of?
To my knowledge, there's not been any sightings. Certainly none that I've been made aware of. I can tell you that a lot of information has come in. In fact, that's one of the things that we would ask. There was something went out that said, if you have information, call your local law enforcement agency. I think the better path to protecting the integrity of the information is to contact the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office and speak directly with the agents or investigators that are working this case. Because, you know, if you're calling an agency in Brunswick, Georgia, for example, and giving them information, something's going to get lost in the translation. So the best point of contact is the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office.
Did you also learn about the last text his family says that he sent? It said something along the lines of, help me, Mom.
I've been made aware of that, but I haven't seen it. I don't know the relevance of it in you know, the context of it, I should say.
If you spoke to the 3 other people in the vehicle as well, does their story match what Charlotte County says they said?
So from what I can tell you, well, we did the interview of them. So what I can tell you is that everyone we have interviewed, their story is consistent throughout. Not just the 3 boys, but also family members, timeline, everything else seems to be consistent with their story.
Even if there is no foul play, how can someone disappear? Is there any explanation for that in this day?
So, I mean, obviously, you know, there's certainly great concern for this young man's safety, especially as time goes on. So someone disappearing just off the face of the earth is very difficult to do. You know, what was going on in the car, what we've been told is he was acting kind of out of control and things, but to just, you know, not know where he's at this point, hopefully some type of evidence is going to lead us to that point. All right.
Any cell phone records to track his movements? If there was a call or a text, are you able to
Yeah.
pinpoint?
So Charlotte County has that part of the investigation. Obviously, you know, if we're conducting an investigation, we'll just say in a general format, we would be looking at cell phone records. We would be looking at any type of video cameras at businesses, anything of that nature in the area. I don't want to try and get too much in the weeds on their case to protect the integrity of it. I wanted to kind of touch on what we've done. But certainly, if it was a case that we were working in a different, that would be the things we'd be looking at.
Assuming you're looking at them, there's no ties to the county with that.
So everything that they have conveyed to us on their investigative leads, everything that our own interviews and investigative leads have shown, there's no ties that brought him to Brevard County.
So again, the mystery continues as the search continues for that 18-year-old, and the Brevard County Sheriff saying there's no indication or evidence that he ever ended up in Brevard County, despite those searches earlier this week that the family members said they were conducting because of some tips, some information that they had gotten. So we will continue to follow up on that story. I know Fox 13 following up on it today, as is Fox 35. We're going to take a break here on Florida Live, but we will be right back after this. So keep it here live on Fox Local and on YouTube on this Friday afternoon. We'll be right back. Welcome back into Florida Live. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Friday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. A former Democratic state senator is running to become Florida's next attorney general. Jose Javier Rodriguez is hoping to defeat James Othmeyer in that attorney general's race. Othmeyer, of course, the current AG who was appointed to replace who is now a senator, U.S. Senator Ashley Moody. Rodriguez worked in the Biden administration in the U.S. Department of Labor. As I said, he was also a former state senator who ended up losing his seat in one of those so-called ghost candidate schemes. He spoke with Fox 13's Evan Axelbank, talked about some of his priorities, some of the things you'll be hearing from him in this campaign, and also criticized Attorney General Othmeyer for using the AG's office as, he says, a political tool for the governor. Here's some of that conversation.
You've been running now for a couple of months. How is the race going? Do you feel as though there's enough enthusiasm in the Democratic Party to mount a credible challenge against James Othmeyer?
Absolutely, I'm finding enthusiasm. What I've been out there talking about, or what I would do if I was elected Attorney General, I'd be focused on fighting crime, fighting corruption, and fighting high costs, right? And as I talk to Floridians, a lot of them, frankly, ask me questions back. Well, they hear me talking about reducing all the costs coming out of Tallahassee, the rate increases and the fee increases. And they hear me talk about things like property insurance and the affordability crisis. And they wonder, well, what can the Attorney General do about that? And it's one of the things that I've been finding, a little bit to my surprise, that folks don't really know a lot about the Attorney General's office. And part of my response is that the powers of the Attorney General's office have not been used to serve the people for decades. And so a lot of what I'm doing is educating people about what the office should be. It should be the people's lawyer. It should be an independent office. It should not be used for political, games, which is what is effectively happening right now.
You mentioned rate increases and also, I assume you mean for public service rates, electricity, things like that, and then also you mentioned insurance rates. What are things that the AG can do legally to help clamp down on those things?
Right. The Attorney General's office has broad authority to investigate and to bring lawsuits, right? And when I'm Attorney General, if you're taking advantage of Floridians, if you're dangerous and corrupt, I don't care how wealthy you are, I don't care if you're the same political party or you're very powerful, you're going to hear from me in my office. And so, for example, when it comes to property insurance, we have perpetual problems here with, small undercapitalized companies where their leadership gets paid handsomely, right? But when it's time to pay out claims, somehow there's no money, right? I'm simplifying it. But, there's all kinds of games they play to take all the money out and then leave nothing for us, and nothing is done about this in Tallahassee. That's just one example of, how I would use the powers of the office to provide some relief to people and stop these political games that they come out of Tallahassee.
One of the things that the Attorney General has been in the news for is Alligator Alcatraz. Do you believe that the way it was set up was A, legal, and B, that the Attorney General has served the people of Florida by putting people in there who should be in there?
Well, you hit on really the two main issues: what they're doing and how they're doing it. With respect to how they're doing this, the mass detention center in the Everglades, not just as a candidate for Attorney General, but as an attorney, as a former state senator, they're using emergency powers. They're claiming emergency powers in order to seize land from local government, go around the legislature, grab hundreds of millions of dollars of money that's supposed to be for hurricane response and preparedness. And importantly, they're handing out these no-bid contracts. People might think that the state of Florida is running this. It's all contractors, and they're, most of them are related in some way, through campaign finance donations, et cetera, to the governor and the Attorney General. But there's serious questions in terms of how they're doing it and abusing emergency powers. But then the question of what they're doing, right? They promised us that they'd be focused on individuals who are a danger to our community. Overwhelmingly, you do not have individuals that have been suspected of some violent activity or are concerned on that front. What you have instead is political theater, right? They're celebrating the sort of cruelty and lawlessness around this, right? Denying people access to contact with their families, denying people access to their legal counsel. And, even the Archdiocese of Miami just got approval to have mass at the facility for detainees. And they seem to be celebrating this. And the obvious message is not for us here in Florida, but is in Washington, right? They're trying to curry favor with the extreme right wing in Washington. And we're the ones paying the cost, not just in our communities, but also literally the cost as taxpayers here.
When it comes to the Attorney General, to the person we assume you'll be running against, the question has been whether he sidestepped the law or ran completely afoul of the law in the way Hope Florida was set up and the way that it was funded. Do you believe, based on what we publicly know, that a crime may have been committed by the Attorney General and how the Hope Florida charity was funded?
The Attorney General is supposed to be the people's lawyer, looking out for the people of Florida and the state interest of the state as a whole. Is not supposed to be the sort of political hench person of whoever's in the governor's office. In Uthmeyer, we have the least independent and probably the most corrupt in a string of corrupt attorney generals. And when you mention Hope, Florida, it appears that he was at the center of a scheme where they took money from the Medicaid program and funneled it into electoral work, right? And there's a criminal investigation of that scheme. And so this is just, frankly, the tip of the iceberg, right? Because this came about because they were looking at corruption in Tallahassee, right? And it just so happens that the current Attorney General is at the center of this scheme. But I don't doubt that there are others, right? And so you need an Attorney General who is independent and who is willing to go after them. And when I served in the state Senate, I was the one most standing up, against the utilities, against the polluters on behalf of, the forced customers of the utilities in the state. And if I was elected Attorney General, I would continue that fight. They came after me really hard, ran a corrupt scheme in the 2020 election. But that only motivates me further to go after just this kind of corruption.
Do you believe he committed a crime?
Listen, as Attorney General, I look at it and I absolutely agree with the assessment of the chair of the House committee that was recommending a referral to the state attorney's office there. So absolutely should be looked into because it does look like there are likely some crimes committed that should be investigated.
And then just let me ask, you look around the state of Florida, it's run by Republicans. Democrats have promised me for years that this is going to be the time we get it right and we're finally going to have a successful election. What evidence do you see that this time is going to be different than all the other times Democrats promised we figured it out?
Listen, my track record is one of focusing on the issues that are most important to constituents, to voters. I'm going to be talking to everybody. Again, I'm talking to them about fighting crime, fighting corruption, and fighting costs. Those are issues that appeal to everybody. When scammers or traffickers, come after Floridians, they don't ask what their party is. As Attorney General, I of course, I'm going to be fighting for everybody. And I'll tell you, the legislative districts that I served in the State House and State Senate, I was preceded by Republicans and I was succeeded by Republicans, right? So I was able to earn the support of those in the district by focusing on things that really mattered, fighting for homeowners, for workers, for seniors, for students. And that's how, talking about all these issues that really, really matter to people is how I hope to convince them to send me to Tallahassee so that I can fight hard every day, just like I have my whole career.
We're going to take a break here on Florida Live, but we'll be right back over after this. And you can see this live look over downtown Orlando. Raindrops hitting the camera there as storms continue over central Florida this afternoon. Keep it right here. More Florida Live after this. Welcome back into Florida Live. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Friday afternoon. Well, students, teachers, school employees, it is your last day of freedom before the return to class for many of you coming up on Monday. But it's also important for everyone to keep in mind that it's the first day of school, because that means a lot of schedules change, patterns change. You're going to see school buses out and about, kids walking along the sidewalks, kids at school buses, just a number of things to be aware of. And certainly things to keep in mind as you're driving. Slow down. Just a number of things and reasons why it's important to keep in mind that Monday is the first day of school in many places. Earlier today, Orange County Public Schools and some local law enforcement as well held a news conference to talk about some of their preparations, some of what they want people to know. They talked about a new threat assessment and mitigation unit within the law enforcement to help with school safety and security, looking into threats as well. I want to play for you a portion of this news conference as we hear from the superintendent, Dr. Maria Vasquez, and also law enforcement talking about their preparations for the new school year.
The half-cent sales tax approved by voters this past year is a large part of our existing source of funding for school construction, renovation, technology, including improvements for safety and security. I'm excited for everyone to take the time and tour the recently renovated theater behind us. What a difference it makes, and this is just the beginning. There's going to be upgraded audio and lighting are next on the list. It's going to be a very busy year here at the Visual and Performing Arts Magnet. Dr. Phillips High School not only has the Visual and Performing Arts Magnet, but it also offers the Center for International Studies. OCPS is dedicated to offering a multitude of programs that allow parents to best choose the educational track for their child. This includes offering programs not only at the secondary level, but also at the elementary level. As many of you have heard, the district is expecting to see a reduction in enrollment. This is primarily due to lower birth rates and the taxpayer-funded voucher program that is being offered by the state of Florida. To increase enrollment and inform the community of all that Orange County Public Schools has to offer, we have partnered with CASA K-12 to conduct student recruitment for our district. CASA's primary mission is to re-engage families who have children who've left OCPS for neighboring districts, charter schools, homeschools, or even private schools. Our partnership efforts will include direct phone calls, mass communications, and other outreach to parents of current, former, and prospective students. We also have two big communication changes this year, and this is especially important for our families. The district's Connect Orange messages are now going to be powered by Parent Square. It's a platform that has all of your messages in place, from school to classroom to district communications. And it will be translated into your preferred language. The platform has over 100 different languages. We are asking parents to activate their account so that they can get more features that are offered as part of this platform. But if you don't, you will still continue to get text messages, emails, and phone calls. It's a platform that is more text-driven for our busy families. So I hope they have the opportunity to activate their accounts. The second new tool is Let's Talk. It's a new feature on our website. And as you can imagine, in a large district, it can be somewhat taxing, frustrating, challenging to find information, especially finding information quickly. So this smart tool that we have enabled uses AI to help you quickly find what you're looking for. Instead of searching through pages on our website, you can simply ask a question, and Let's Talk will point you directly to the right information and the links. This is going to be a great resource for parents and community members who are looking for information quickly. Additionally, OCPS has transitioned to School Cash Online. This is a new program that replaces School Pay and is your go-to service for paying school fees for field trips and much more. Please take a moment to register your account before the school year begins.
We hold our school resource and frontline officers to the highest standards. They are expected to be visible and vigilant, and they are prepared to protect our students and schools from any threat. The Orlando Police Department is unwavering in its commitment to act swiftly and decisively in the face of danger. Our officers stand ready to put their lives on the line for our most precious responsibility, our children. While we hope such heinous situations never arise here in our community, I want to assure you that we are fully dedicated to our safety and to the strength of this partnership.
There is nothing more important to the Orange County Sheriff's Office than ensuring our children are safe in their schools. That is the most important thing for us. Believe me when I say that in Orange County Public Schools, we have some of the best trained deputies and officers anywhere in the country. Our community should feel confident knowing how diligent our school resource officers train and prepare for all situations. Our deputies participate in active assailant training every year, and Sheriff Mina has made clear to them what his expectations are. And his expectation is that they will risk their lives, put themselves in harm's way to protect our children. That is his directive to our men and women, is that they will risk their lives to save our precious resource. When school begins on Monday, there will be a sworn resource deputy in every traditional public school in our jurisdiction. Our youth services section is made up of nearly 200 school resource deputies, corporals, and sergeants, and they are responsible for providing bell-to-bell coverage at 131 schools in Orange County. But our tools are not limited just to the deputies on campus.
Orange County officials talking about preparations for the upcoming school year, again, which begins on Monday. So enjoy your final weekend before school starts. We're going to take a break here on Florida Live, but we'll be right back after this. Welcome back into Florida Live on this Friday afternoon and this National Pickleball Day. It's a sport that is growing in popularity. Maybe you enjoy playing it. According to USA Pickleball, there's 70,000 courts across the United States and more than 20 million pickleball players. Among the organizations and groups that are celebrating today is the business Crush Yard Orlando, which has a number of indoor courts. Here in Orlando, they're hosting a full day of coaching, play, and community. And I had the chance to speak with their director of pickleball earlier today about the growing popularity of the sport. Pickleball Day to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited.
So just let's start here. I mean, this is one of the fastest growing sports in the country. Why do you think that is?
Oh, it's easy to get started, really hard to master, and it's one of the most social games that I've played. So it's an easy barrier to entry. In 15, 20 minutes, you get playing, and you just meet a ton of people. It really is. It's a great game in that sense. If you don't have an athletic background, it's okay. You can get started really quick.
And a lot going on at Crush Yard today. Can you talk to us about what people can expect?
Yeah, so we've got our standard programming going on. So we've got our open plays this evening. We've got a paddle and prosecco event. So if you want to come out, have a drink, and meet some fun people, play some pickleball, that's always available. But today we're also hosting the RSPA, and we're running a pickleball clinic and Doofer rating session this afternoon. And the RSPA is the Racket Sports Professional Association. So they do all the certifications for pickleball, tennis, padel, and have been great partners for us today on National Pickleball Day.
Evan, how'd you get involved? How'd you get started playing pickleball?
Oh, for me, it all started actually with tennis. And I worked as a tennis coach at one of the resorts in the area here. And my boss came to me one day and said, "Hey, we need somebody to get on this and to start playing this game." And I initially just thought, how silly, and just fell in love. So it started with work, and it's still my job, but I feel blessed that I get to have so much fun every day with the work.
Yeah, and talk to us about, it's a very accessible sport. Like you said, it's easy to play, but hard to master. And I think that's something that makes, incredible to see the diversity of people who probably come in and you see playing it.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's probably the only sport where I think grandma and grandpa can play with their grandchildren. And have fun. I mean, it really it crosses multi-generational, every demographic. I mean, it's really cool to see kind of the melting pot that we have here, where you don't really see that necessarily in a lot of other sports. But yeah, it's a great point.
What do you think the future is of pickleball in Florida and across the country?
Well, Florida has already really become a hub for the high level play. I mean, a lot of the professional players live and train here in Florida. I think with as many snowbirds and retirees that we have down here, it's not going anywhere. I think it's just going to continue to develop and grow. More courts are opening every day, it seems like, across the country. And here in Florida, we're blessed with the weather. I know over the summer it can be hot and rain every day, but thankfully there's more and more indoor facilities like ours that are popping up to kind of help facilitate play year round. So I really don't see it slowing down anytime soon.
What would you tell someone who may be hearing about pickleball, may see it, may be interested in it, but maybe hasn't picked up a paddle yet? What would you recommend to them to kind of get going and encourage them to start playing?
Yeah, well, I'd have to recommend coming to Crush Yard for sure. Every day at 10 a.m. we run a complimentary beginner class, introducing players to the game, getting them started, and that's every day at 10 o'clock. I think if you have the right introduction, you meet the right people at the beginning, and you're in a safe, fun environment, you're gonna have a great time. If you go out to a public park and you've never played before, you can run into some people who maybe know what they're doing and are not as willing to get out there with you. But most of our facilities, facilities around the country are going to have a great beginner introductory class. I'd always recommend starting there.
Evan, quickly tell us where we can learn more about Crush Yard.
Yeah, crushyard.com. You can follow us on Instagram or Facebook as well. Get all of our programming, all of our updates. But the website is definitely the best place to start.
Thanks for joining us this afternoon here on Florida Live. We will see you Monday. Have a great weekend.